What critically acclaimed video game did you just not care for? Badlands. I will admit that I didn't make it past the first few levels, but that was out of sheer boredom from what I perceived to be the game's design and pacing. It was good on mobile though. The only thing I did every time I went into a phone store with display phones. Any MOBA like League or Smite, they look like games that take a lot of time to even be competent at, and there's no real motivation to try and understand all that stuff. The trick is to start them when you having a traumatic event in your life that you don't know how to deal with. Then you funnel all that grief and narcissism born from low self-esteem into it to become good. Then you spend 10 years playing MOBA games to hide from the pain. Eventually you deal with your issues and the whole genre feels unappealing. That's been my experience at least. Well, that is super relatable. I agree. Spot on. Except for the eventually dealing with your issues part. Yeah. I just buried them in vodka and self-shaming. Smile on top, grief down below, like a normal person. Scrolls down. Doesn't see my favorite critically acclaimed game listed. Goes back to bed. I see we are in the same boat. I see we are in the same bed. I see we are in the same clothes. I see we are the same. #WEC. I never got into the original Half-Life, which is weird because HL2 is probably my favorite game of all time. Edit. It's even weirder because so many people are saying they're the other way around. Try the Black Mesa remake. This is worth playing, even just for the Zen remake alone. So much better than the original Zen. The original Zen was ducking annoying as hell. Maybe I should try Black Mesa again. I played it when it was free originally. Was a bunch of fun. I did the same. I played it when it was free for a while. Got stuck with the crouch jump mechanics a few times. Got lost and bored and closed it for a few years. After HL Alex I got into it again. I'd already replayed HL2 and EP1 and EP2. Had a lot more fun with the release version. I'm not sure what all they changed, but it felt different, better, and Zen was grand. Black Mesa is an experience like none other. I wish I could play it again. PUBG. It was fun the first few times around. Very exhilarating toward the end of each round. And victory felt great. But it's so repetitive and had a very clunky feel. Also made every British rail game that came after it feel pasted, and they all bored the hell out of me. Overrated genre MMO. I don't enjoy the British rail genre either. I think it's the constant fear of dying and having to watch my friends for 15 minutes. I end up meeting nobody and get in no fights. You should try Warzone or Apex Legends. Both games allow your friends to bring you back into the game, which makes the whole experience much more enjoyable in my opinion. And both free too. Although you'll need a whole hard drive just for Warzone and its 60GB updates. It'll be fair, Warzone is a top tier British rail game. I just don't enjoy the genre generally. I had a couple funny moments on Warzone, but it'll only ever go on with friends. I'm just too much of a run and gunner for British rail. I was gonna say Fall Guys, but I caved today and downloaded it. It stressed me the duck out for a good 20 minutes. I put it down. I picked it back up. Suddenly it's a ducking dopamine mine. I can't stop smiling even when I duck up, which is always close bracket. It's nice to have a battle royale that isn't just a shooter. I really needed something else. I got it yesterday after not having internet for 3 weeks outside of data. Seeing everyone raving about it, I'm definitely giving it a go today. As long as you're in the I want to have fun mindset, you'll have a great time. If you're in the I want to be the winner mindset, you're gonna have a bad time. The last few Final Fantasy games were just unplayable to me. Last one I remember enjoying was 12. I feel that I haven't beaten a single one after X. Well, if you count 14, I beat the main story and most primal events when I played. FFXI I was good, but skipped past a ton of grinding because well you could, and was super underleveled in the second half and quit. FFXI I started decently good, but some of those fights were so damn slow. I think around hour 5 I shoot got no plus hope together, and that just crawled. FFXV just didn't feel like Final Fantasy, but the cutscenes were nice, and I watched those on it. you may want to try something like Octopath or Persona 5 if you like more traditional JRPGs. Last one I beat was 9th. What usually happens is I get almost to the end and come to a boss fight that I'm extremely under-leveled for and don't want to grind, so I stop playing for several months. And when I come back to it, I have forgotten everything about it, so I start a new game and the process starts again. Fortnite British Rail. I paid a lot of money for SDW, and it's a joke trash fire now. RIP SDW. You know that one game you really like? I hated it. Dude. Are you serious? Exclamation mark. It wasn't even the way you are thinking it is. You need to just read the 2 books that came out before, and it will make sense. The story is amazing. Also, you need to adjust your camera settings and remap controls so you can boost while power sliding. Seriously though, put power slide on L1/pound. Yeah, I had it on Y for a lot of time and had boost in L1/L. I'm so glad I changed that. League of Legends. Played it for a while. Used to like it, but now the thought of playing even a single game disgusts me. First you get trapped in a game for at least 30 minutes with 9 complete strangers who are all simultaneously more toxic than the other. And if you leave or disconnect, you can get banned for days. There is always at least one hopeless optimistic on your team who will refuse to surrender even when it's 0 to 20. I completely agree. Yet I'm still completely and hopelessly addicted to it. Yeah, that awesome 1 in a 100 game feeling of solo carrying a team fight and getting a pentakill is an amazing feeling I've never gotten from any other game. But for me, it's probably a 1 in a 1000 game moment lol. Have you tried playing top lane? Warframe. All of my friends love it and have poured thousands of hours into it, but I just don't get it. It gets boring really fast when your only point is to farm levels to get better gear and go to harder levels. The enemies and fights always feel the same trough the game. It's a very reward oriented game and is definitely not for everyone. I played it for maybe 600 to 700 hours, which is probably the most I've played of a single game, and I loved it. But my friends just never got into it. Lately it's also getting problems with content and the community getting frustrated with the devs. Plus it's almost certainly going to be sold to Tencent. I love the game, but sometimes it's almost trying to make it hard for me to love it. Destiny. Remember it being massive at launch and being super hyped picking it up that week. Never could get into it at all. And that's from a big Bungie fan. Hell, I have roughly 3000 hours in between D1 and D2 and even I can't stand it half the time. Destiny is like heroin. It's fun for like 30 minutes, but then you hate your life, yet you can't seem to quit it. Destiny has those jaw-dropping moments unlike anything else, and it keeps me coming back. The raids are so special to like Voji King's Full Last Wish. The raids of D1 were all amazing. Even Krot Ascend, which was beaten solo by Glad with a drum kit and with voice commands. They were all jaw-dropping. Oryx especially, but man, if D1 and D2 hasn't seen some of the roughest patches of gaming IDK, what has? It sucks BC. The rough patch RN wouldn't have existed if it weren't for Coronavirus. Beyond Light would be out in like 2 weeks. RuneScape. I only managed to put in about 7,000 hours before carrying on with my life. I don't get how some people have been into it so consistently for 2 decades. You don't quit RuneScape. You just take long breaks. Oh yeah, XD. I played RS since 3rd grade all the way throughout high school with long breaks in between and even a little bit after I graduated. It's unfortunate that RS is so time consuming. I've been a RS boy since 2006. I have stopped playing the game multiple times and still I find myself logging back in. I will say that nowadays I only get a good month of playing in every 6 months or so, compared to logging in every day all day like did years ago. It's not all bad though. I met my wife on there 10 years ago, and we got married last August. We even had some of our longtime RS friends there. Good old Nubscape. Wow, that's incredible lol. People talk down on people for dating on video games, but that sounds like a great way to meet someone personally, haha. I've also only heard good things from those couples, so while you play a game you both enjoy and you spend years talking and getting to know each other, There is no awkwardness, no need to impress them, or even sexual tension between you when you play a game. Just two people who are good friends that both enjoy the same things. Then some time passes and you get older and sometimes things just level up beyond a game. Fortnite. Slightly irritating when you shoot at somebody and they turn into a house. Banks hate this one simple trick to home ownership. Number 4 will blow your mind. Kingdom Hearts 3. My wife grew up playing the first ones and frequently told me how she had great memories of them. When we learned a new installment was coming out, we were hyped. Even though we both enjoyed the actual gameplay, there are so many cutscenes that I found the game early unplayable. Yes, could skip the cutscenes, but by that point I was feeling I was really selling the game short, and plus I had no idea what I was actually doing. Who TF is this random bozo that joined my party? Oh, they're gone now. Okay. We both ended up just stopping, and we were both very disappointed. As a diehard KH fan, KH3 was not up to scratch. It isn't bad, but not on the same level as the other main entries. After playing through the entire series, I feel like just about every KH game is pretty mediocre other than 2. 1 is good. Its controls just didn't age too well. I agree about the controls wholeheartedly, but the game is still fun. Has a fun story with likable characters, etc. None of the KH games are 10/10ths budget, and KH2 are a solid 4/5. Same for BBS. Rest are 2/5 or 3/5 material. It's a shame Days is a DS game, because it has probably the best writing of any KH game. The relationship between Roxas, Axel, and Zion felt more believable than even Sora, Raku, and Carrie sometimes, and it especially felt more believable than Terra, Aqua, and Ven. Fucking Pong. Graphics were for shit. Clearly a lowlife like you doesn't quite understand the complexities of a masterpiece such as Pong. Modern video games, if you can call them that, I thought games were meant to be fun, will never live up to the work of art that is Pong. Clearly you're one of these millennials that go around playing your Mario Karts and your Calls and Duties, but until you master Pong, you will never understand true joy. I'm waiting to find a reply that says Undertale, apostrophe. I mean, I liked it, but the internet makes it seem a lot better than it actually is. We need a word for overrated. But people get mad when you say that about something good. Like, Undertale was great, and I loved it. I also loved Deltarune. But it wasn't like the second coming or anything. I think overhyped would be the word you're looking for. I think most people went and spolied about the pacifist, neutral and genocide runs, which is ultimately the game's unique gimmick, for lack of a better term. Take that away, and it's a well-written story with an excellent soundtrack, but fairly bare-bones gameplay. I think overhyped is about right because it didn't really allow players to experience Undertale's full impact that they would have had they gone in with no prior knowledge. Space Invaders. The more you blow up the faster they rained down. Made me crazy. Completely by accident as well. They were only slow at the beginning, because the tiny CPU struggled with drawing so many on the screen. Now that you mention it, League of Legends can duck right off. Any of the FIFA games. Infuriating. They get worse every year and the monetization is absurd. People need to stop buying this gambling simulator disguised as a football game. All my buddies are huge into NBA 2K, but I can't stand the microtransactions. On top of paying $60 for the game, they will also spend $50 to $100 on in-game currency to get their characters better. I don't want to spend that much money on a mediocre basketball game. I'm a big FIFA and NBA 2K player for a decade plus. Seems to me both developers stopped caring for actual gameplay around 14 over 15. I only play these offline. They can make it all glossy and pretty looking, but the mechanics of both haven't got any better for a number of years. I'm gonna get hated for this, but Overwatch is mine. I played a little bit of it, but I just didn't grasp it like other games similar to it like Siege. Everyone seems to love Animal Crossing, but I see zero appeal in it. I was on the same boat until my GF told me she wants it. She never plays video games. Now I'm fishing and trading when she is at work and I finish mine, and I'm having fun. It can be relaxing after a hard day. Valga the Viking. I thought the game didn't balance difficulty and fun. Dark Souls, Celeste, Super Meat Boy, Cuphead, Devil May Cry, and Must Die Mode are all pretty challenging, but rewarding after completing a level or boss fight. In Vulgar it was too much memorizing, and after spending 6 hours to do the first stage I didn't feel satisfaction, just relief. I got the game for $2 though. BTW, if anyone wants to take it, I'll give it to you for free. Just send me a PM of your Steam username and I'll be happy to give it to you. I wanted to like Bioshock so badly, but I wasn't able to avoid spoilers, and it ruined my interest in the story. Somehow I just played this game a year ago and had no idea what the story/basic premise even was. Just always heard it was great and knew it had those big ass diver dudes who looked cool. Definition lived up to the hype. The first time I played all of them was when they were all free for PlayStation Plus a few months ago. Loved them all. LA Noire. I just found the game aspect really boring and broken. While they put a ton of effort into the character animation, it made character movement really clumsy and frustrating, especially during platforming sections. Even something as simple as stepping 2 feet to the left to walk through a door was an exercise in futility, as I would commonly overshoot the door or angle away from it during the unnecessarily realistic wind up and follow through of each footstep. Also, the game shipped with broken dialogue options, making some missions impossible to clear without realizing you had to intentionally pick incorrect dialogue options to trigger the correct dialogue sequence, and knowing which one to pick was a whole new layer of trial and error. The game's first couple hours are great, but by then, the game had shown its hand and either started repeating the same mechanics, or introduced really lame fetch quests and lazy driving missions. About halfway through, I was just done with the game. I like the crime scene / detective work aspect, but the open world driving / fighting etc. seemed like it was grafted on from another game. It's my go-to for games that had no reason to be open world. Like, what is the actual point of a sandbox game? To allow freedom. In GTA that means mowing down pedestrians. In Skyrim it means dragon encounters. What do you actually get out of the open world in LA Noire? A lengthy commute to every mission, where you can't even hit other vehicles too hard. Oh, and some wiki entries on famous buildings. Fuck, there aren't even any cheats. I just don't understand why you'd make a massive, intricately detailed virtual city and then not let your players play in it. Oh, that wouldn't work for the story. Then tell a different story. I started LA Noire, but never finished it. But there was an option to make your partner drive quite often, and then you could skip it like fast travel like. Yeah, anytime there was a driving section other than pursuits, if you held the get in the car button, your partner would drive, and it would black screen to the destination you set. Speaking of which, the AI could still crash. I found a phantom on one of the garages and thought, well, I always drive like shit, but the AI never crashes so, and the motherfucker drove it instantly straight head on with a lorry. Fortnite. Not sad about it being dropped from platforms either. No, the sad part is Unreal being dropped. No more Coffee Stain. I've already spent like $30 on Unreal games for Android. Google hasn't threatened to pull Unreal. Only Apple. Civilization. I've tried to get into a lot of times, but it just never clicked. It feels like you need to sit and watch someone else play it in order to understand how it's meant to be played. 700 hours into Civ. There's times I feel like I regressed back to newbie status from how much a good start means to the outcome of your game, or the placement of the city-states and AI leaders. The world map auto-generator is a fickle mistress. 700 hours into Civ. So like 4 games? GTA V. All my friends had it, and it seemed fun after it came out. A few months later I couldn't even be bothered to look into buying it because it seemed like everything was already done and I'd be playing catch up. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.